Hey Nathan, I am going to read your energetic signature. And so when I went into your energy field, I saw you running really quickly, but this is a different timeline version of you, okay? But you were running really fast, and there was this gravel on the ground, and it was like crunch. You know how gravel like crunches when you're running on it, but it was very much giving like the Flash. Okay, so I don't know if that's symbolic for you, but it was so funny. And if you watch anime, maybe because your arms were like behind you while you were running like an anime character, and so I was running beside you, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And you weren't really paying attention to me because you were like so focused, and so I actually projected in front of you, and I had a cup of water kind of like they do in marathon races, and I held it out like this, and you stopped to take a breath, and you're like, "Oh, thank goodness." And I said, "Where are you going?" And you said that you were trying to catch your ride. I had to move locations. Speaking about running. So I said, "Okay, you're trying to catch a ride like an airplane?" Because you know how people are kind of like running to get to their location in an airport. And he said, "What's an airplane?" And I said, "Oh yeah, you probably wouldn't know what that is." And so I showed him a memory of mine, or just showing him what an airplane was exactly. And he said, "That seems very unnatural." And I was like, "Oh." So I guess it does, kind of just like this metal tin can in the sky. And I said, "Well, what do you use as form of transportation?" And he said that on this planet, or like this dimension that he was from, that they ride on clouds. And I was like, "Oh, okay, how does that work?" And so he took me to the station, which is like a human terminology, but basically they were able to get these clouds and change the molecular structure of them, so they were a lot denser, so people could actually stand on them. And there was like kind of like these handlebars, and what you were able to do is set your intention into them, and then they would take you where you wanted to go. And I said, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool." And I said, "Well, this is why I'm here for Nathan today, is to figure out if there's anything that he needs to know or that he needs to see, or maybe you can teach him something." And he said, "Oh yeah, for sure." He said, "Do you want to come to work with me?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "That would be great." So I got on the cloud with him, and then we were soaring through the sky, and I looked down, and there was this beautiful greenery area, and there was this big greenhouse that was down there as well, you know, the kind that you put plants in. And he said, "I work at an laboratorium." I was like, "Oh dang, I haven't heard that word in forever." And so this is a place where they scientifically study plants. And so we went down to the grounds, and he asked if I wanted to go into the greenhouse, and I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And as we were walking, he said, you know, they study plants and animals here. And what was really funny is I saw almost like this octopus type of creature, but it wasn't an octopus, but it looked very similar to that. And I was like, "Cutie." And he said that even though they study things here, that the laboratorium was open to the public as well, so that they could also learn. So then we went into the greenhouse. Beautiful. So many gorgeous plants. And we walked to the back, and I see this giant plant, and honestly it looked like the plant from Super Mario Brothers, the one that like eats things and it has like big giant teeth on it. It's kind of like a Venus flytrap, but like different, but it looked very much like that. It was very big. And he said, "I want you to touch the plant." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "You're a very trusting person." And I was like, well, obviously, because Nathan asked me to do this reading, so like I'm going to trust his other timelines, right? And so I touched it, and as soon as I did, this like crystalline or crystallization started forming all over my body, almost like a cocoon, and it got really hard and dense, and then all of a sudden it shattered and fell on the ground and kind of disappeared. Like it happened in a split second, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" And as that was happening, I was outside here, okay, like on this plane, Earth, and I heard this crunching of leaves like behind me, and this random dog walked up to me, I was like, oh, hello. And I was like talking to him, and he was just wagging his tail, and he was so happy. And I was just hanging out with him for a minute, and then I heard Maverick, somebody like yelling, and I turned around, and the mom was looking for her dog, and I was like, oh, your mom's calling you. And then he like ran off to her. So I don't know if Maverick is some type of synchronicity for you, or it will be in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, or you're out for that. And I just thought it was really funny, especially because the laboratorium, they were studying plants and animals, and I was outside with the plants, and then the animal showed up. So confirmation. So when I asked this different timeline version of you, what was that chrysalis thing about, he said that this plant takes toxins from your body. And I said, oh, cool. And he said toxins can mean a lot of different things. It can be metals in your body. It can be emotional toxins, like things that have been backed up over the years. It can be mental toxins, like thoughts, patterns, beliefs, programming that's no longer serving you. But the plant does an energetic scan and then withdraws them, and the plant actually eats the negative energy. It's a carnivorous plant, okay, but it takes all of the things that are not, kind of like trees, how they absorb carbon dioxide and then produce oxygen. Don't quote me on that, it might be something else. But that's what this plant does as well. Because I had originally said, like, thank you so much to the plant for doing that for me. And I said, can I give it a gift? Because I can materialize things out of the ethers. And he was like, oh no, don't worry about it. He was like, it had a yummy snack. Okay, it ate up all these things that you needed to release. So then I asked him if everybody had access to this plant. I said, this is incredible, amazing. Okay, and he said no. He said that they are trying to modify through like plant breeding to make sure that these plants are only able to take things away from people that is going to produce something good, because they also can take your life force energy, because much like the clouds, like the technology that, well, that's not really technology, it's more intention, but but you can set your intentions with the plants and it will eat whatever you ask it to. And so they wanted to make sure that no, evil persons were able to get a hold of it and then use it for ill intent. And so he said that they were still working on that process. But he also said that you are able to have access to these plants because you would use it in a healthy, positive manner for either yourself or for others. And then I asked the different timeline version of you if there was a name that you could refer to him, and he said he can call me Frederick. And I said, okay, I'll let him know. And basically what you can do, okay, with your energy healing abilities, because you have portal access through your Akashic records to Frederick, and he has access to these plants, if you are having conversations with people, if you are offering sessions, if you're simply like talking to your family members and your friends, like always we want to get permission to do these things. So we want to make sure it's with the right persons. Okay, anytime that we are when I say practicing, I don't mean it in the terms of practicing, but when we are utilizing our energy healing abilities on someone else, we need to be making sure to ask their higher self if we have permission. Okay, but he said you can envision that you are in this laboratorium or in this greenhouse, and that you are touching the plants, and that you're also touching somebody else's energy body. So you are a conduit, kind of like the way copper works, but you can touch in two different places, and you don't have to do this physically. You can like do it in your mind's eye, and you will be a conduit for that energy healing for that plant to pull off any of those toxins that that person might need to release. And a way that you can improve this gift and this skill is by going into meditation and talking to Frederick and having him show you kind of in real time, because this is something that you are also able to do on self. And I want to thank you so much for letting me read for you, and I hope you have an incredibly magical day.